I don't really have a script today. Um, it's not like I ever actually have a script. What I do is I normally just write something in the morning and then I talk about it later on during the day. But I guess now is like a really good time. I love doing that shit. Like ever since that one time I saw Iman Kaji do it. Um, yeah. Uh, Today's just been a really interesting day for me. Took a what some people would call an irrational action, and I realize now, okay, when I'm looking here, I'm actually looking at my own face because I'm a narcissist like that. Actually, his name was Narcissus, by the way, but it doesn't really matter. I took what some people would call an irrational action, which is an action that goes against the norm, an action that other people definitely would not take since they're more rational than me. Um, what I did was I literally had someone come to me and basically offer me a stable job and like with like really I guess it's relatively good off like it's a relatively good offer. But today I basically just told them straight up that I'm not willing to work with them long term. That I wanted to build my own thing. Um, and then literally like um, after telling them, I had tears come to my eyes, and at that moment I felt this relief inside of myself. I can't even explain how it felt. It's just like so many there's so many times in my life where I've just like betrayed myself. I've betrayed my own best interests, even though this is not in my best interests to a large extent. Like I'm putting myself in between a rock and a hard place, basically. Like this job would have been like basically just freeing myself to an extent. But at the same time, it would never have been free. I would have been taking orders from someone for a really, really long time. And how could I do something like that while living in this kind of universe that basically just optimizes based on action? I, okay, I'm playing it forward right now so that you understand how I'm thinking. Um, so say hypothetically I did go into this job, right? I would get used to taking orders like that. I would wake up every day, and the one thing I would start thinking about when it comes to working would be, oh, what orders should I be taking today? That would obviously build over time, again, again, again. Even worse, I'd probably get used to earning the same amount of cash every single month. I'd used to this concept of a, I'd get used to this concept of a salary. Something really, really annoying to me, something that I'm trying to step away from. All of that, it might not seem like anything, you know, anything crazy to most people because they're so used to it. It's like, oh yeah, what the hell? I go to a job every day, I earn some cash. It is what it is. That's how you live life. That's what you do when you're an adult, I guess. Maybe I just don't want to grow up. Maybe I'm uh, I'm I'm too much of a dreamer, I guess. Um, but it's one thing to be a dreamer, and it's another thing to actually take action on your dreams. I think that's like the one thing that separates like a lot of people tell themselves that they want to be these types of people who start businesses, who make moves. And then you talk to them after a week and they're still talking about those types of things. And you ask them what they've done, but they haven't really done anything. Um, I almost became that type of person so many times. And I think for one thing, like maybe the universe is just telling me, hey, you really are that skilled that people are just coming to you right now, and they genuinely want you, you know, over on their side. They want you to work for them because they see how talented you are. But that's exactly the reason why I shouldn't make the move. That's exactly the reason why I shouldn't settle. Because if I really am this talented, then what would happen if instead of working for other people, I worked for myself? I think a lot of people, um, maybe they find it easier to just like do the normal thing, get a job, be normal, you know. You don't have to think too hard. You don't have to suffer through the anxiety of not knowing when you get your next client or whatever. You don't have to you don't have to suffer through the anxiety of not being sure that there's something sure coming. Like as long as you just do whatever you're told, whatever you need to do, you'll be fine. Um, Maybe there was a time where I was like that as well. I just don't want to be that person. I genuinely don't want to be that person, and I have no problem saying it out loud. I don't want to look back at my life and realize that I had this moment to change. I had this moment to decide my future, and I just chose not to. I can't help my like I can't become that person. I can't become that person. Like I make short form videos where I talk about things like these, about what it means to live life intentionally. Funny enough, I was going against my own intentions. I remember there was a time when I was starting off in automation. Like when you're starting off, of course you have like these really big goals, these big dreams, or whatever. It's like I remember I told myself I would have my first 10K month in like June. But that month ended up becoming like, like a 1 point something, 1.5K month, which I think it was the best month I've had like till that time. But that's still like it wasn't anything special. Um, and that just tells me all I really like. Getting there was like the craziest part as well because there was like a few months before then where I was just getting nothing. There was some months where I was like really, really making a ton of progress. But the crazy thing was I still managed to like get to a place where like I had never made that money. I never made that much money until that point because I was just pushing myself that far, and I somehow stopped pushing myself. I somehow felt like it was okay to just settle. There's a formula that I learned recently. You might actually like the sound of it. It's identity equals, so open brackets, intention multiplied by action, close brackets, to the power of environment. So your identity, who you are, is informed by not only what actions you take, but what intention is behind that action. So what that means is that two people could do the exact same thing, but the intention behind their action will inform the result that they get, and it will also inform the identity that they end up embodying because of that. Um, you know, I, I think when I think about this, I think about like maybe two, like think about your, like maybe two moms. I would say that they're both baking a cake. One of them is just baking a cake just to bake a cake. The other one's baking a cake because they want to imbue like all the love they have, and you can kind of taste it as well. Like after the cake is done, like wow, this cake is like really well made. It's because they spent a lot of fucking time on it. It's because the intention was there, and the intention mixed with the action created something amazing. Um, but at the end of the day, the one thing that a lot of people don't pay attention to is the exponential. It's the power to the environment. People don't think this is like a real thing. Like I always summarize it when I say, you know, action is identity. So whatever you act upon, it informs the habits you create. Whatever habits you create informs the character you become. Whatever character you become informs the types of opportunities you see, the types of things that affect you, the type of ways you affect your environment, which is your identity. And your identity basically is the it's basically the most concrete form of your destiny. Your identity is your destiny at any point in time. You are destined to be this type of person right now, is the meaning. I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. um, so basically, yeah, you only have yourself to blame for who you are, for the kind of life that you live right now. And that's just based on the actions that you've taken. But there's also these little small variables that people don't think about, which is intention as well. It's like two people could take the same action, and if they have different intentions, of the quality of the intention is different, then they'll probably get different results. But at the same time, this third variable, environment, people generally don't think about it. And environment goes so far because it's like an exponential. So think about it. If your environment is something that actually adds to you, it could make every single action you take and every intention behind that action, it could take it to the next level. But if your environment is trash, it's something that holds you back, then it could dampen every single thing you do. I remember there was a time where I was living back at my mom's place, and I didn't actually like that environment that much because there was just a whole lot going on around me that I just couldn't control, which was part of the reason why I moved to Cape Town as well. Um, Funnily enough, while after getting here, I realized that I actually still couldn't control that much because I'm still getting affected by some things that I can't really I can't I have no control over it. Like it's just things that disturb me, sounds. Uh, but this is definitely a better place, and the reason I say that is because it's just maybe it's because I'm actually paying for it. It's forcing me to have this mentality of like having to make money for sure. Like if I don't make money, then I'll get kicked out. If I get kicked out, I'm homeless. If I'm homeless, I'm cooked. It's basically that simple. Uh, and that was part of the reason. That was the other reason why I moved out as well. Was because it was so comfortable back home. I was okay with. There was a time where I was okay making 4,000 rands. Like, if you don't know how much that is, it's about $200. Yeah, I know. Um, I want more. I I want more for myself. Not just to have more, but like just to be the type of person who can make more. Because I think I can, and I know I can. I feel like the only person who could ever hold me back is me. And that's exactly what's been happening. I've been putting myself in situations where I didn't have to be there, but I was just there for some reason. Because of anxiety, because of fear, because of all these different things. And that, like literally, I said this before, but I just took an action where it was like I had I had someone offer me basically safety net, and I was like, fuck no. And I feel so fucking good. Um, it's really rare for me to feel like this clear-minded, this clear-headed, um, because I know I'm acting in line with my best intentions. I know this was my intention from like a long time ago. I just wanted to play this game where, like, the game is just to see how far I can go. That's the game. It's not even about the money. The money is just a signifier of impact. It's just game tokens, you know. The game is just to see how far I can go, to see how much of an impact I can have on my own life and on the lives of the people I care about. That's all it is. And yeah, like as much as I feel clear-headed right now, I also I feel super, super, super fucking worried as well. Because it's like, oh, like now that you made this decision, you kind of have to stick by it. But that's the nice thing about decisions. I'll tell you the way I think about it. So we live in a universe that is a almost like a simulation. You could think about it like a simulation. So what that means is beyond the simulation is a realm where you could be in every possible state you could imagine. And it's only when you observe yourself or you get observed by the universe around you that you render as whatever you are. Right? So think about it, every probable state, so that's like quantum states, and then you keep getting rendered at the speed of information. So again and again and again. Now, when you get rendered, those probable states, right? They will always collapse into something that makes sense relative to what you were before. Meaning that if you like, which is why I guess you could say we live in an action-centered universe. Right? If you were a type of person before, then you probably would be a type of person of like right now. It's all just based on probability, right? Um, so the more you take action that is not in line with who you were before, the more you'll change. The more you change, the less probable it will be for you to be the person you were before. And the more likely it'll be for you to be someone who changes. So when I think about the number of changes that I made so far, when I think about just me making money on the internet, right? I started as a just someone who was writing fantasy novels. And then I tried to go into drop shipping, that didn't work out. I tried to go into content creation, like doing short form video on YouTube, that didn't work out. But in all that time, I was like building skills in myself. I was learning, I was growing. And then I took a chance, and even though it didn't work out at first, I just stuck to it, and I stuck to it, and I stuck to it. And I went through all these different identities. You know, I was like someone was like a little bit interested, and then I became someone who was like, you know, work. It was like a learning how to do something. I became a learner who was engaging with everything around him, like really in a curious manner. I became a worker who was working for people. That was when I started gaining a little bit of confidence in what I could do. And then the worker mode is where a lot of people get stuck, I feel. Funny enough, I feel like the only reason I was able to take these types of decisions right now is because my identity has been shifting as well. I'm starting to go into this builder mentality. I can like I when I think about myself slaving away for someone else, building someone else's dream, I get sick. Um, I feel sick inside. It feels like something disgusting is just welling up like from the depths of my fucking soul. Um, and the nice thing about living in this kind of universe where everything is centered around action is the fact that you can choose to be anything as long as you act in line with that identity. Um, the only problem is that most people act without intention. That was how I was acting before, right? All I had, and this is me being honest, all I had was intention. I just wanted to be better. I wanted to master myself because I realized that I was just getting affected by a whole lot of things that were out of my control. And I hated that version of myself. So I wanted to master myself in any way possible. I made so many mistakes, but I'm so glad to have come here. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna continue making mistakes. Because at the end of the day, right, that's just how it works. Like learning is just repetitively making mistakes until you make less mistakes. And then you just don't make mistakes anymore. But the funny thing is that you always make mistakes relative to the identity that you want to embody. Um, I think even the best, they're never as good as they want to be at any moment, which is kind of funny because it's like when we look at them, they're the best, but when they look at themselves, it's like they're still not there yet. They're still aiming for something, something more. I think that's like a really really powerful principle. It's just maybe if there's like a fourth variable in that equation where it's like identity equals intention multiplied by action to the power of environment, maybe there should be like a variable where it's like it's your will to never give up on yourself, I guess you could say. So willpower, something like that. Maybe it's like a multiplicative force that even if the environment is kind of no, it's an exponential force. So even if the environment can be a damper, there's still going to be a willpower over there. That's an interesting concept. But yeah, okay. Um, yeah, this has just been me yapping on camera. I'm so sorry if you didn't learn anything from this, but I hope you did because I genuinely think I'm a valuable person. So you probably got something from this for sure, as long as you like took a moment to listen. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you when I see you, which is going to be next time.